So you're born on the square. And in ancient time, what the mother would do now is that she would now give you a crown to represent that you are her son. And one of the crowns that we wear is known as, the Moorish fez. And the Moorish fez alone represents the signs of the woman. Ooh. Even if you go and study Egypt, you will see that all the bloodlines and all the powers passed down through the woman. And whichever male that a woman chose, he became the Naga or the Nagus. Later on, what we call Pharaoh today.
Seems like you have a lot of people that like you or support you.
Well, this is
at the chat and the switchboard.
Well, I'm just dealing with science. This has nothing to do with my emotions. Remember, I came from a Christian perspective, and for between the ages of 6 and 16 or 17, I've always heard about the woman being second, the man being on top, man is first, and all that stuff. But when I got to science, this blew my mind. I had to change my whole perspective and understand fully what's going on.
I was raised the same way.
So what happened is that when we fell all around the world, our oppressors stripped everything from us, our custom, heritage, science, our matriarchal way of life. And what they did was they studied the science in secret. Meanwhile, we were, on the fields working. And then they built the whole entire society and civilization off of the matriarchal principle. There's a reason why we have a Maryland and a Virginia, and they right next to each other. That's dealing with the woman. There's a reason why Washington, D.C. is mapped out based on the foundation of Virgo, the Virgin. There's a reason why on almost every state building or Capitol building all over the continental U.S., you will see like a woman at the top or a male figure pointing to the woman, either in the direction of that particular region, or he's pointing upwards towards Virgo. There's a reason why when you go into a temple, a lodge, a synagogue, or a church, the whole thing is designed based on the womb of the woman and the entrance into the birth canal. Every time you pass over an arch, that represents the opening of the woman's vagina. When you go into the lodge or the temple or the synagogue or the church, it's basically mapped out as the woman. So on each side of the place, you will see two sides. Those two sides represents the direction that the ovaries and the eggs have to come down into. You have one main passageway, so that's the birth canal. The head where the preacher or the imam is where the womb is. All of the science has been around us the whole entire time, but we're not paying attention to it. So some males may argue like, I'm stronger than the woman, so she can't be better than me, or the female is emotional. That has nothing to do with understanding the science and creation and how you get here. Your physical strength has nothing to do with her strength. Why? You could take a bodybuilder. Let's make him outrageous. Let's say the brother is 6'8", 3-something, all muscles. This brother could punch down a wall. If you take his heart and try to give it to a woman, his heart wouldn't even be good enough. Why? Because every time a doctor does a heart surgery or a heart transplant on a woman, the first thing that doctor do is to make sure that it's a female heart and not a male heart. Because a male heart can't even survive in a woman's body. Why? Because she needs to pump her own blood, dealing with the menstrual cycle, but her heart has to be strong enough because she produces the child. So a man's heart which is like one of the weakest things in his body, is not even good enough to be in the woman's body. So don't talk about strength. Don't talk about emotions, because emotions is a code. Emotions is actually two things, two words in one. Emotions means energy in motion. Now, if you study the difference between the brains of the male and the female, you see that female, by scientific proof, females have more brain neurons than men. What do brain neurons do? Brain neurons help the brain to communicate. So if the woman has more brain neurons than men, that means that the woman's brain is always in communication all the time, faster than men. So she herself has to express all that stimulation. That's why she's emotional. But emotions are not bad, because emotions could either help you or they could cripple you. The key is to control it. So it doesn't matter which way, these brothers want to go, you're still not going to equal up to the mother. Now we may understand what happened in the alleged Willie Lynch scenario. And I have to explain to people, listen carefully what I'm saying before you go crazy. The man named Willie Lynch never existed. There was no man named Willie Lynch. If you want to tell me that a man named Willie Lynch existed, then you have to prove to me his birth certificate or death certificate. There was really none in his time, so either a birth record or a death record, his cemetery, his family cemetery, a painting, a portrait, or where his descendants today. You're not going to find it. But the systematic way of oppression and brainwashing and programming that's named after him, that's the reality.
Right.
To find proof on that, there's a brother named Manu Ampim, Manuampim. He actually took the time to research this alleged Willie Lynch letter, and he found out that a man named Willie Lynch never existed. But he himself also says that the format of brainwashing, that's the reality. So dealing with the Willie Lynch format that most people know, there's a reason why they attack the woman first. Because if you teach a man to fish, you teach one man to fish. If you teach a woman to fish, she's teaching a nation to fish, because she gives birth. She's the first teacher of the child. So there's a reason why they attack the woman mentally, physically, and spiritually in society. Once you get her off balance, then your job is to basically take the man out of the equation, make him feel not needed, make him feel inferior. You stop him from progressing in society and functioning as a man. You stop him from being a protector. You make him, want to be a gangster and a thug and a pimp, which is taking him from being in equality with a woman. This is how you destroy the relationship between the man and the woman. And you do the same thing to her. You make her be dependent either on the system, you make her get in some mind frame about feminism or false independence, which most people don't even understand. Being independent doesn't mean that you don't need the next person. Being independent means that if the time is necessary or if the person has to, you're able to survive on your own. It doesn't mean that you don't need the other person.
Right.
But this is what happened in our society when, I'm an independent person, I don't need you. Once again, the whole thing is being knocked out of whack. So how can we repair it? We repair it by understanding the origin and importance of the woman, what our role is to do, and then move forward. But understand the importance of the woman. Shaka Zulu won most of his wars because his aunt was the person who was coming up with the war strategy. How many people know that? How many people know that Shaka Zulu's main advisor was his mother? His job, once again, is to play the protector, the enforcer, and the warrior for the kingdom. That's the male's job. In order to understand the proper role that we have to play, you have to study ants and bees and the animal kingdom. Why? They didn't go through brainwashing. They didn't go through slavery, or better yet, when we were prisoners of war. You know what I'm saying? They don't have time to watch BET. So they're not taken out of their nature. So there's a reason why, you know, when it comes to the lions, the woman does most of the hunting. What does the male do? The male procreate with the female, and the male is what? The protector.